and welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to share with you an experience I had. I've had a lot of health problems over the last couple of decades, and a couple of years ago I had SVT, Supraventricular Tachycardia. I know it's a mouthful. But if you're here because you've just been recently diagnosed with this, I'm going to share my story of what happened, and hopefully it will help you. I had a couple of episodes where it just felt like my heart almost stopped, and then it would just start beating just as fast as it possibly could. But I knew it wasn't a panic attack because when I have anxiety attacks, it doesn't feel like that. And so I knew it was something that was off, but they would pass and I would move on with my life. So one day I was driving and it happened. And I was like, no, I'm going to go right now to the emergency room and I'm going to find out what's going on. So I went to the emergency room and they did all these tests and EKG and all of that. And the doctor came back and he was like, there's nothing wrong with you. We have no idea. Here's some anti-anxiety medication. Have a nice day. And that was it. Well, I knew something was wrong, but obviously they didn't find it. So I didn't have another episode for a while. And then one day I was at home and it happened again. And this was several months later. And this time, like, no matter how long I waited, it just was not going away. So I went to an emergency room near my home. And it's called Complete Care Emergency, and it's a standalone clinic. And I am going to put their link down below. I'm not sure everywhere they are, but I know they're here in Texas. And if you ever need to go to an emergency room, they are fantastic. I mean, they get you in lickety-split, and they are so helpful and so kind. So what happened was this day I went in, they hooked me up, and they were like, yeah, you have a fast heart rate. For sure. They were like, your heart's beating at 290 beats per minute. And they were like, it's a wonder that you haven't passed out. That's really high. And so they gave me a shot of adenosine. And what that does is it actually like stops your heart for a millisecond and then it restarts it. And so that restarts the rhythm. So they did that, but they weren't certain of what was going on, but the ER doctor, it was crazy. He comes in at one point and he's like, can I ask you a question? And I said, sure. And he was like, do you do like any kind of PCP or anything like that? He was like, you don't look like the type, but I need to ask you that. And I'm like, no, I wouldn't even know where to get PCP. And he said, well, the reason I'm asking is because PCP showed up in your urine. And that was crazy. So one of the nurses, he and one of the nurses like left the room and they came back and they were like, actually, it's very rare, but one of the medications that you take can lead to a false positive of PCP. How crazy is that? He was like, well, we didn't think you acted like it or seemed like the type, but since it showed up, we had to look. He's like, but now we know that that's just fluke and no problem there. So because it was a standalone clinic, he arranged for an ambulance to come and transfer me to a hospital. And they admitted me to the hospital, and I stayed in the cardiac care unit for 2 or 3 days, and they did all kinds of tests. They kept me monitored to kind of see what the heck was going on with my heart rate. And they said, well, we are going to send you to an electrophysiologist. And an electrophysiologist, because supraventricular tachycardia is almost like in your car, and like if there's, or your computer, like if there's a wire that's misdirecting, the whole thing can go crazy. So they said, and he's going to do a bunch of tests on you, yada, yada, yada. So they said, just go home, relax. And so finally I went to the electrophysiologist, and he did some more tests, and he said, okay, well, here's the solution. He said, you can have an ablation. We'll go in through your groin, go up into the heart. We'll stop the heart just for a millisecond. He said, get it started, and then we will be able to see where it's misfiring, and we'll be able to redirect it. Well, like I said, I've had several medical issues over the last couple of decades, so usually I'm like pretty tough when it comes to medical stuff. I don't get freaked out. But when you start telling me you're going to stop my heart and you're going in through my arteries, through my groin and all of that, I get a little freaked out. And I had heard some kind of horror stories about it. So, had to do it. So, my mom and someone I care very much for took me to the hospital. I was freaking out, but I mean, I was like cool on the outside, but I was freaking out on the inside. And so they put me under, they did the ablation. The next thing, I woke up, and that was it. And everything was fine. And I had to lay on my back for like 6 hours. I couldn't lift my head or sit up or anything like that. Like if I had to go to the bathroom, they had to bring me the little thing and the little, why can't I think of what it's called, bedpan. And like my friend was feeding me ice chips and like had a little straw for me. And it was like nothing happened. So everything was fine. The doctor said that it was like in 6 spots, I think, and they got them all. And I haven't had any true supraventricular tachycardia episodes since then, but I do feel my heart kind of an arrhythmia to it every once in a while. It kind of gets off balance, or it'll do that thing that it used to do where it feels like it's going to stop, and then I'm going to start having one of those episodes, and I don't. Oh, one thing I did forget is in the meantime, before they did the procedure, after they diagnosed me, they put me on blood pressure medicine because they said sometimes that helps. But my, the blood pressure medicine, because my blood pressure usually runs like normal low, and so even the smallest dose of the blood pressure medicine was causing my blood pressure to like bottom out, where I had to go to the emergency room like twice because of it. So that's my experience with supraventricular tachycardia today. Everything seems fine. It's been 2 years. It wasn't a big deal, so if you're super freaked out about it, don't be, because I was, and I know it's easy for somebody else to tell you not to be freaked out, but like I said, do it, because it's so much better than having those episodes, because they just destroy your life. The one thing I will say is that they said that you might have some fatigue after the procedure, and I think that that's supposed to be short term, but I know that I have fatigue with my other medical issues, which I'll discuss in another video. And I do feel like that has gotten worse since the procedure, not like by a huge amount, but I do feel like I get fatigued more easily. Whether that's just with time and that just happens to be what's going on with me right now, or if that's related to the ablation, I'm not really sure. But that's my experience. I hope this helped. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, like. I would love to see your comments. Share if you know someone that might need this video. And above all, have a great day. Thanks, and I'll see you soon.